Hello and welcome to the We All Juggle Knives channel. This knife you see in the foreground is sold by Windlass Steelcrafts. Price tag $60. It is based on a historical design from World War II. And as the story goes, leather-handled knives, the leather handles began to deteriorate in the heat and humidity of the Pacific Theater, and therefore some knives like this were made with aluminum, right, cast aluminum handles, which would better survive the heat and humidity. The handles were very ornate, and they actually became, basically over the years, they became very prized works of art in and of themselves. As far as the blade itself, as you can see, pretty much identical to a USMC Ka-bar blade. You know, just as with a Ka-bar, you got a clip point, 7-inch long blade with the fuller there. All right, and this is a high carbon steel, but they do not say what steel it is, they just say it's high carbon. That Ka-bar is 1095 high carbon. And you know, initially I was just going to do a show and tell with this knife because I pretty much believe that if you're purchasing this knife, it's mainly just for the coolness factor. But I was a little worried about this, how they put this in the handle. It's obviously it's a push tang, and I was a little worried about just if it was solid enough. Oh, excuse my hands. Yes, I have been out here doing stuff, testing these blades. As you can see the marks on this blade. I actually did just end up giving it a good preliminary beating because I just wanted to see how securely this was actually joined with the handle. So at this time, let's just roll in a little of the durability testing. In other words, giving this a good beating to see if it's solidly made for your $60. The skull pommel in itself was also used as a weapon, an impact weapon. Let's see here. Alright, we're back. I hope you liked that. Now, I want to point out that Ka-bar actually sells its own version of this knife, and the Ka-bar version of this knife is $1,000, okay? And you know, I know people want made in the USA and all that. Hey, if you got $1,000 to spend on the Ka-bar version, I congratulate you. You're doing something right. But most people don't want to spend $1,000 no matter how nice the knife is. And so we have this knife, which is okay for $60. How did it hold up? The blade did develop a small nick right where my finger is, just a tiny nick. I don't even know if you can see it. So one small nick, not bad. The tip is still just as pointed. Oh, by the way, sorry if you hear any background noise. You know, we're not on the tabletop anymore. Real world conditions, there's going to be noise. The blade is still pretty solidly in the handle. I do detect a tiny bit of movement, but I detect a tiny bit of movement. Can't really see it with the naked eye. Honestly, any other blade with a push tang like this, if you did the same stuff to it, I mean, I was holding it like down here and like using it as a hatchet. Yeah, I mean, any other blade with that same type of tang, you would get a little bit of wiggle, but it's still pretty solid. I mean, it's still still pretty solid. Do I think it was worth the 60? Yeah, it was worth the 60. I mean, I would have been a lot happier if it was like 40 or 45, but I understand, you know, there is that markup for the coolness factor. Yeah, I mean, it's a functional collectible, basically. This is the sheath the knife comes with. Oh, it's just your cheapo leather sheath. The belt loop there. And button closure there. Now, it doesn't really need that strap to hold it in. It's fairly tight on the blade. Hold on. There you go. Alright, so that's your bare bones, you know, not very expensive sheath. If you want a Ka-bar and you just want a cool handle like that, maybe you study World War II and you like cool stuff like that, and you don't want to spend the $1,000 for the super collectible Ka-bar edition, yeah, I could see getting this, and you could use it as a camp knife. I mean, most people probably won't, but if you wanted it to do double duty or just as a cool thing, be a cool gift, yeah, I like it, I dig it. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video. It's been We All Juggle Knives. I am out.